Hey there designers, welcome to the first session of our online class. Today we're getting our first taste of InDesign. We'll talk about setting up a document, navigating the interface, and try out some of the tools by creating a business card. So have you ever wanted to create stunning designs like a pro? Today we'll start learning how. Okay, let's get started. So once you've opened InDesign, this is what you should be seeing. Let's go ahead and click on New File. All right, so what we'll get is some presets up here. So it'll load up presets for web documents, and you can click the plus to view more for web, and then for mobile. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. Down below, you'll see some templates. So Adobe creates some templates for us. And if you want to look for more, you can always search them down here on Adobe Stock. And we are going to use a preset. So what we're going to choose is this US business card. And we're going to adjust it over here. So we have these preset details on the right. We're just going to call this business card. And we'll set that to inches, and we want that to be 3.5 inches by 2 inches. We want to have unchecked facing pages, and we want 2 pages for front and back. And it doesn't matter what we put for the start number here, since we're not numbering our pages like a book right now, or 1. For margins, we're going to set that to a pretty small document, so we're going to set it to 0.25. And then for bleed and slug, we're just going to set that to a 1/2 inch bleed, which means that once we've created our document, there's going to be a little bit of room around the edges. That way, whatever color that we've put down, it's not going to go right up to that edge. So when we send something to the printer, it won't cut some white lines because they're accidentally aligned wrong. So we can click the little preview check mark to see what's going on back here. And you can see this pink line is going to be our bleed, so that might be a little bit much. Let's go ahead and set that to 125. And so that's going to give us a smaller bleed. Let's go ahead and set that to 125 for our margins as well. And that's going to give us just a smaller area and more of a safety zone here to work on. Okay, so we hit create. If I hold Alt and our scroll wheel, that's going to let me zoom in and out like this. I can also do Control or Command plus to zoom in and out, plus and minus. And we also have our zoom tool right here, and so we can zoom in like this. If we hit Control 0 or Command 0 for a Mac, that's going to send it back to a full screen view. And then I also want to show you the hand tool first, so that if we click on the hand tool, that's going to let us click and grab so that we can pan around. And the key command for that is going to be spacebar. So if I hold spacebar, it's going to act like the hand tool, so we don't always have to walk over here to click and grab that. All right. So what you should be seeing is a document that looks like this. We've got it set to essentials right now, and if you don't have that set, then go ahead and click this little button right here and set it to essentials so that you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. And so right now what you can see is our pages listed out over here, and then we have some of our tools for InDesign over here. Across the top we have a bunch of menus. Alright, so over here on the right you can see that these pages line up with the front and back of our business card. And what I want us to do is right click on the page, and I want us to say allow document pages to shuffle. So without clicking that, it's not going to let me move things around, but once I have clicked that and turned it off, now I'll be able to set that next to my document up here at the top. If I click this page tool over here, that's going to let me move that around just a little bit. And if I do Control Z, that's going to undo. I'm just going to scooch that over just a little bit so that the bleed isn't touching the other side, but now I just have them right next to each other. So we have a little bit of a sense of navigating InDesign now. I just want to talk about some of these tools over here on the side really quick. So first we have the selection tool and the direct selection tool. And the selection tool is going to be one of our defaults, and you'll see as we hover over it, it has B as our key command. And so that's something that I think that you might want to commit to memory. Page tool, we used that already, and that's going to let us move around our artboard. Let's talk about the type tool. If you click and hold, you can see on tools that have these little triangles, sometimes they have tools that are hidden behind. So you might want to just keep an eye out for that. So this text tool, if we drag out a text box by clicking and dragging, that's going to let us start typing in this area. So what I want to do is just type out my name. And you can do that with your name. So I'm going to go to the selection tool up here, and you can press E to pull that up, and I can just scale that down for a second. And if I double click in here and go to properties, you'll see a lot of my tools for our typography right here. So you'll see paragraph styles and character styles. Below that, you're going to see this appearance button. So that's going to let us choose our color. And so you'll see some of these presets down here. It's got the CMYK, and then it has red, green, blue below it. And then what you could do is also double click on our color picker. Pretty funky color picker. If you click on this H right here, it's going to be something that's more recognizable. And we'll be using these CMYK swatches later, but this is going to help us to kind of pick our color colors in a more normal way. Let's go ahead and select a teal, and I'm going to click on the CMYK and say add CMYKs and click OK. And so you'll see that that appeared down here. Below that is going to be stroke. So right now it's set to no stroke, but if we wanted to add one, we could set that to, let's set it to 10, and we'll set it to black. And you can see that it's kind of poking out a stroke around the edges here. We can make it just a little bit less chaotic. All right, and we actually don't want a stroke for our drawing right now, but we're going to set that to none. And note that there's a difference between paper and none. So paper is going to be like their way of saying white, but it's actually going to be whatever color paper you're printing it on. None is going to say there's actually no ink there and no space there. And so we could select our colors again. We could set it to that teal that we just made, but we're going to leave it at none for now. Below that is going to be our character settings. So that's going to give us our font, and then that style of our font. Down here we have our size, so that's going to be 12 points for right now. Then we have our leading, so that's going to be our spacing between lines. So if I pressed enter and selected all of this and I scale this up, you can see that it's pushing that lower. And if I scale it down, it's going to push it tighter. And you can just leave that set to auto for right now. Next to that is going to be our kerning. So what kerning does is between letters, as we scale our kerning, it's going to push our letters apart and put just one character apart from the other. And so that'll let us have a lot of control over how close they are to each other. And then we have our tracking right next to that. And so that's going to affect the whole word or our whole selection. And you can see how it's spacing it out really, really neat. And I wouldn't recommend doing that with normal body text, but it might be fun with certain types of words, like for certain headers or maybe for logo design, things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and set the size to, let's try 20. And then I'll set the text, this Harlow solid italic. And so you might not see some of these fonts listed in your drop down. And if you want to add more, you can do find more right here. And that's going to pull up Adobe font, and it's going to give you some more options. If you want to download those, you'll just click the cloud over here. When you go into fonts, you'll just say, you'll click this cloud again and say show activated font. I think I like the look of this Bauhaus 93, and you can see right now that some of my text is getting cut off. If you look closely, you might see this red plus sign, and that's saying that there's more text that's not being shown that you'll want to use. So if we scale out our text box a little bit more, now that plus sign is gone, and we can just up our text box. So I triple clicked on my text, and down below we can continue with our text styles. So we have paragraphs, and that's going to let us align center, align right, and then justify our text, and then align towards spine. That's going to be when we're making book. When we have facing pages, there will be a spine, and so you might want to align it to the right or to the left based on the spine. We'll just click center align for now. Below that we have bullets and numbering, which is going to be really handy later, and then we have some quick actions. So we might want to set a hyperlink. We might want to change the case of something. So let's say we want our text to all be uppercase. Maybe we want it to all be lowercase. Maybe we want it to be just the first letters of everything uppercase, and then maybe we want certain sentences to have case settings. So we're going to set it to title case, and we also have this fill with placeholder text button. We won't be using it on this particular document, but I do want to show you what it does. So it's just going to fill it in with some Latin. That's just fake words. It's not trying to say anything. It's just trying to say that there's a text box here, and here's what it would look like when there is text spaced out into it. So we can go ahead and press Ctrl Z to delete all of that. You can also do edit and undo over here. Alright, so now let's move our text and place it in the center. You can see these pink lines popping up. That's just going to say that we're aligning to the center now. Let's say we didn't do that though, and we want to just move it so that it's aligned center. So what we're going to do is we have our selection tool right now, and we're going to set this to align to page. And then we're going to set select or align center vertically and align center horizontally. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and design this front side of our document. So let's go over to here. And if you see this ellipse, it might be a rectangle also. This is going to be our shape tools. And so we're going to set it to rectangle, and I'm going to draw out a rectangle across our bleed, which is that red line on the outside. And you'll get some properties over here that represent the shape tool that we chose. So we have some similar things to our text tool. We have fill, stroke, and then we have some new ones as well. So with the fill, we'll be able to fill our a picture with a color. And for our stroke, we don't want to have a stroke for this because as you can see, it's going to be on the outside of our business card. So we're going to set that stroke to none. Opacity represents how transparent it is, how see-through it is. So you can see if I scroll that down, then we're going to be able to see through that rectangle really clearly until it's all the way 0 and it's perfectly transparent. Or if we do all the way up to 100, it's completely opaque. Alrighty, and then something that we want to do is arrange it so that it's in the back from our text. So we're just going to click send to back. Alrighty, and then since this is a background object, we're just going to click lock also. The other way to do that is to go to object and select lock right here, and you'll see the key command is Control L on PC or it's Command L on a Mac. And so if we want to unlock it, so right now, if I go to my move tool, I'm not able to move it because it's blocked. If we want to unlock it, we'll just click Control Alt L, or we can click here and say unlock all on spread. And so now we can move it again. I'm going to do Control Z so that it's back in its place. And we're going to do lock. Okay. And then let's go ahead and create a subheader also down here. And I'm going to put illustration and visual development. And select all of this. And I'm going to choose that. And you can see that it's a little bit past my text box, so I want to scooch that down so that it's just a little bit more fitted in. And maybe I'll go with 10, and I can scale it up a little bit later. I'm going to align it to the center. And let's pick a different color than the gray and the green. Let's do something more bright, so maybe something more yellow. Maybe let's do something really vibrant. Okay. And let's try that and see how it looks. I like it. I think I am going to add a stroke around here. And so since I want to use that stroke color from illustration and visual development, we want to go back into here. And we want to say add to CMYK swatch. And we'll click OK. And so now, when we click on our name and stroke, we should have that color down here listed. And we can add maybe just a 1-point stroke around that. Oof, that looks bad. So let's do Control Z. It's a little bit too hard to read that. So maybe I want this one to be that bright green instead. And maybe I want this down here to be a little bit darker. Maybe we'll go with something a little bit more dusty rose. Maybe something like that. See how that looks. Yeah, I'm liking how that looks. Okay, so now if I hold Shift, that's gonna let while I scale these this text box, that's gonna let me scale uniformly. And then if I'm not holding Shift, that's gonna let me squish this in and out. But you can see that it's not affecting the size of my text. So to do that, I might have to do it over here and just open these handles a little bit. And I want to align that to the text box or to the document, so I'm going to just hit center again. And I'll switch it up so that it's closer to my text up here. Okay, so now, right now we can see these text boxes, we can see some of our frames, and we might not want to see all of that, so if I hit W, that's going to show us what that's going to look like when we print it out. So right now it's pretty sleek, it's pretty clean. Maybe we want to add a box around it. That just gives us a little bit more texture, a little bit more of something else going on. So over here in stroke, maybe I want to select the CMYK green again, and I'm going to align it center to my text box. So that's looking pretty fun, pretty exciting, pretty simple, but that's okay. We just want something that gives us a chance to try out these tools. Alrighty. So now over here on the right side, or on the back side, I'll hit W, and we just want to fill that in with a rectangle again. We'll click fill, and set that maybe to that background green color. And let's use this eyedropper tool, and grab that color that's over here. Okay. So it's going to give us that layer yellow green. We want to lock that, so we'll do Control L so that now we can't grab it from the background. It's locked in. And then we're going to add a text box on top, and we're just going to say permissions open. Permissions. So I'll right click, and I can check on my spelling here, which is great because I'm not a great speller. So I spelled it wrong, so we're going to say commissions, and we're going to say change. We can click done, and then we have it spelled right. So you can see that it's not in the fonts that we were using over here, and we want to create some visual uniformity. And so we're going to go over to our font styles, and we'll go for that Harlow italic. And press return so that I can get them on 2 separate rows. I want them to be center aligned, and I want them to be much lighter than that. Because this is my call to action to people. I want people to come to me for their commissions. So I want to align that to the artboard. Say align to page, and we'll say center and center. We could also align them to the top or to the right, but you can see that it's aligning from my text box, not from my text itself. So just keep that in mind when you're making these changes. So I'm just going to squish this down, and then align center. And then from what I'm seeing here, I think that I want that to be maybe even bigger than what it is. Okay, that seems nice. I'm going to select all my text, and I'm going to grab text color selector, and I'm going to select that pink color over here. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to scooch that text box in close again and center everything. Alright. And lastly, I'm just going to add another text box that has some contact information. So it'll say you might a social media symbol, so we could do @ Chloe Onyam. And we'll select all of that by doing Control A or Command A on that.
And we can shrink that down and choose our Bauhaus font. And we want to make sure that this is readable, because if you imagine that this might be how you're looking at it on your screen, but if you get a business card, it's going to be much smaller. So you want to get it to about the size where you would see it as a business card, so that you can kind of picture how people are going to be able to read it. And so maybe we'll set it to 11-point font. We'll just open that up a little bit more. And then I think for this one, I want it to be the color of my background over here. So we'll select that with the eyedropper and click OK. And we'll scale that in just a little bit. Yep. And then if I hold Alt and drag, that's going to copy my my text box that was over here. And so I can just put a second one over on the right side, shrink that down, and we can say, we'll do a phone number, like phone number 123-456-7890. All right, and then you can see that this is now kind of pushed to the right, or on the left side, and we want it to be aligned to the right. So we'll click that align right over here on the paragraph style. Okay, so now if we click W, we should be able to see what our business card would look like. It's looking pretty good. I think that this yellow against this pink is not the most fun, so I want to add some of that bright green back in. So let's go ahead and click on this box over here, and we'll hold Alt, and we'll just drag that over to this page too. And right now it's hidden behind it, so we're going to say bring to front. And you can see that that's overlapping some of my text down here. So we want to bring the text up just a little bit so that it's not quite so overlapping. But we still want it to be centered, and we don't want it to be hidden behind that box either. So we'll just bring some of these in just a little bit. Alright, well, that's looking pretty okay. Make sure that's centered, and we want to bring this up just a little bit. Now I'm using the arrows to push that around. To move that up faster by 10 pixels a piece, if we hold shift while we're pressing the arrows, that's going to move it much further than if you're just using the arrows. The arrows alone are going to give you a lot more precision. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So now we have our business cards. We're just going to do File and Export. And that's going to allow us to export in a few different settings. So we have our JPEGs, PNGs, and PDFs are going to be kind of our most used document setting for these. Now keep in mind that these are going to give us some compression, and that's also going to not give us access to our tools anymore. So if we open up this document, we're not going to be able to interact with it or edit these around. It's going to be like a still image afterwards. So I'm going to set it to PNG, and we'll just save it to the desktop and click save. And it's going to give us this dialog box. And we want to select all pages because we want both sides of our business card. And then we want our resolution to be 300 because it's considered a print. And then for quality, we'll go ahead and set that to maximum for now. We don't care about transparent backgrounds at this time. Transparent backgrounds would be good if we're saving as a PNG, and we want to save like an empty spot for something to be see-through. That works a lot more often in web, but since this is for a print document, we don't really need it. And then we'll say use document bleed settings, and we'll click export. And then to save it so that we can also edit it later, we'll do file, save as, and we saved it earlier, but we're going to save it one more time. And we'll say business card demo. And then these are InDesign documents. That's going to allow us to edit these later. So we'll click save, and there you have it. Alrighty designers, so I hope you got everything that you needed out of that demo. I know it's going to be really chopped up and really scattered, but hopefully as class goes on, it's going to get a little bit cleaner. And I hope that you're excited to get started. I'm excited to see what you guys make. Go ahead and post those in the Discord if you have any questions that you want to work together on. And then if you have questions for me, feel free to email me. And then remember, your assignments are going to be due next Sunday, April 7th on Moodle, and there'll be a description for the assignment there too. All right, have a great week, you guys. Thank you.